This week, we're going to be talking about it says closing with compassion and sales strategies. But I want to tell you something. I feel like incorporating compassion is important, not just in the initial sales process, but in the ongoing sales process. And so the three things that we're going to talk about today really are all about compassion and how to take compassionate actions with potential clients, how to take compassionate actions with active clients, and with previous clients. And the reason that I used all three of those is because I believe that a sale can work more than once. So if we implement compassion on the initial sales process, we re-engage it in the active sales process with clients that we're currently serving, and then we engage it with previous clients to encourage a lifetime awareness and a lifetime relationship with our clients. So I really feel like if we can use our compassion and we can leverage it well, we're going to be able to do it in all three of those areas and generate clients for life. So for anyone who is new today, my name is Nicole Broadhurst. I'm a former healthcare administrator turned independent patient advocate, founder of The Circle and CEO of Tennessee Health Advocates, where I help independent patient advocates create sustainable and profitable practices without the chaos of entrepreneurship. So you might be wondering, why did I start The Circle? I opened my business in 2019, and by the end of 2020, I was finished. Too hard, too much work, too many shiny objects. The hamster wheel was getting too spinny for me. I ended up meeting Jason Elkins, and like I said, I share this every week, I think. Met Jason Elkins, went through the 100 Cups Academy. What I learned in that academy is that I needed a community in order to grow my business, increase awareness of my profession, and maintain alignment with who I am and why I became an advocate in the first place. So if you resonate with any of that, you are in the right place. This is where we stay encouraged, motivated, supported, and resolved to keep doing this really hard work that we just talked about. So today we're going to talk about compassion and how we can leverage it in our sales process. Um, so grab a pen, get some paper, because you know how it is. Drop questions in the chat. We're going to get to them at the end. What the three things that I want you to get from today's conversation are this: how to incorporate and leverage compassion in the sales process with potential clients, with active clients, and with previous clients. Okay? Because whether or not we recognize it, we are always selling our services. That sales process does not end when they sign the contract, right? So let's jump in. I'm going to get something to do. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the first thing. What are the top three ways to leverage compassion with our potential clients? So we have a lead. I'm going to talk about three key strategies that you can incorporate into your initial sales process, incorporate that illustrate and demonstrate your compassion for the people you serve. First and foremost, and we've talked about this before, so it's not going to be a deep dive, active listening and empathy, right? Like, don't be too quick to jump in with the answer. Make sure that you're listening and you're allowing your potential client to really listen to what their needs and concerns are, right? Because they'll tell you. You can do this active listening. You can demonstrate empathy by mirroring body image or body language, right? You can lean in. You can do these things that really show that you're interested in what they're saying. This goes back to being present in the moment. Like, what is it that you need to do to keep your mind focused? You know, it's really interesting. I've been told, and I know this is true because I paid attention after people said something to me. But when I'm in a really important conversation with people, I've been known to close my eyes. And, I've actually in meetings, people have said, "Hey, did you fall asleep?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't fall asleep." But when I close my eyes, I can't see what's happening in the room around me. And it really helps me focus on the words that my ears are hearing. So there's sometimes when I feel myself being very distracted, I will actually say to somebody, I'm going to close my eyes, but I'm going to continue listening because I don't want you to think that I'm falling asleep because I'm not. I'm just doing a very, so for me, that works. And over the years, I've learned how to incorporate that in a very non-threatening way and work with people on it. But for me, that's sometimes really important. When I'm really trying to focus on what somebody's saying to me, I might need to close my eyes, especially if I'm on Zoom and they have a cat that's running around or something's happening in the background. I don't tell them that's what it is because it doesn't really matter. What they need to know is that I'm going to close my eyes so that I can really focus on what they're saying to me. In fact, I will take it a step further. I have gone to recording all of my Zoom calls. Some of you may have done a recent call with me and you've heard my little spiel about how I love the AI that's available in Zoom. It allows me to not take such copious notes. It allows me to be present in the conversation so that after the call, when it's time for me to do a follow-up, I can go into Zoom, I can go into the meeting, I can look at the transcript, I can look at the action items, I can look at the topics that we talked about. I don't have to take all those notes. That has been a huge game changer for me. It really allows me to be much more present in the moment. So be thinking about things that you can incorporate that will help you be more present and in the moment with potential clients. Again, we've also talked about personalized solutions, right? Making sure that we do the active listening so that at the end, we can provide them with what we believe is a very personalized, tailored solution and answer to the problem that they just told you about, right? I have learned, and I know you have too, there is no way to offer advocacy services in a one-size-fits-all solution. There just isn't. We can have general buckets, we can have general ideas, but each thing is going to be very specific and tailored to the patient and their situation. So again, by showing that you're doing that for them, again, this is showing compassion for their specific situation. And then the third thing that I'm going to share about this early on in the sales process, the most compassionate thing we can do, paramount to all of this, is to be transparent in our communication and support. What does that mean? That means that if they come to you with a situation or a circumstance that you're not equipped to manage, say so and connect them with someone who is, right? I think about, and I've shared this before, there's a Christmas movie. Y'all told me which one it was a few weeks ago, but I don't remember. It's a Christmas movie where somebody goes into the department store and the guy says, oh yeah, we don't have that, but JCPenney has it across the street, and he gets in trouble for sending the person across the street. That's not going to happen here. Okay. In fact, when we send a referral to somebody else that is better equipped to manage it, whether it's geographic or skill set or personality, I mean, come on, right? Like somebody might have heard that story about Pam's potential client and been like, oh, no, I know how to manage those people. I manage those people really well. I have no doubt that that may be true. There may be an advocate who, like, that situation is their sweet spot. Okay. So don't underestimate the power of being the solution, even if you're not the end result. Right? That's one of the reasons that we created the circle. Right? So we have instant access. Literally just saw this happen this week. Somebody posted in the circle that they were looking for an advocate in Colorado. We were able to tag Sammy, get them connected. Like this is happening real time, guys. And the more we work together to make that happen, the better we build our industry. The better our entire presence is. We elevate all of us. Okay. So be transparent. Don't be afraid to say, that's not my sweet spot, but I can connect you with someone who can, right? Okay. So if you incorporate those, you're going to be showing new clients that you have the compassion to listen, to hear, to tailor things, and to tell them the truth. Which, quite frankly, when clients get to us, they are so unsure of who to trust. They don't have any idea. They don't like, because so many people have told them so many different things that conflict with each other by the time we get them. We've got to give them every reason to understand that we are showing up 100% for them and that we are not going to abuse their trust in us, right? We've got to be the utmost, the stellar of, look, I'm going to be raw and honest with you because I don't want you to go back into a situation where you're ill-equipped to manage it, right? Our job is to make sure that they have what they need to manage it. So all of those things, be transparent, be, I don't want to say brutally honest, but sometimes compassionately honest. That's what, right? Tell the truth with compassion. Sometimes it's hard. All right, so let's look at how we can incorporate and leverage compassion in the sales process with our active clients. Like, it's not just about acquiring new clients, it doesn't end there. It's just as important to nurture our relationships with active clients because if we don't do that, then again, are we building the best name for ourselves, for our profession? Are we putting ourselves in the position to effectively serve early adopters? All of those things, right? So, what are 3 things that you can do right now to leverage compassion for those you serve actively, your active clients? First and foremost, if you've worked with me at all, you know I've said this a bazillion times. I don't even know if that's a real number, but lots and lots of times. Do regular check ins and follow ups. Show your clients that you're genuinely aware, that you care about their well being and their success by regularly checking in with them. So, this could be through phone calls, emails, maybe in person meetings, depending on how you provide your services. But whatever it is, make sure that you're consistently in touch with them, that you're touching base with them, that you give them a way to give you feedback on their satisfaction with your service. So, one of the conversations that I have very early on with all of my clients during the onboarding process is how important it is for them to tell me the truth. Okay. It goes something like this. Inevitably, during our relationship together, there's going to be a point in time that I say or I do something that you don't understand or doesn't feel good. I don't want you to sit on that. I want you to reach out and tell me about it immediately because the longer you sit on it, the more it's going to fester. And then before you know it, it's going to be a resentment and you're going to be really angry with me. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to need you to promise me that when something bothers you, you're going to tell me right away. Can we agree on that? Okay. I want them to know right up front. There's no reason to be afraid. I need you to tell me the truth because inevitably it's going to happen. How do I know that? Because we're human. Right? Seriously. I'm going to say I'm going to do something. It's going to be a mess. Let's clean it up as quickly as possible. Don't wait. And then I have to back that up with regular check-ins, right? And saying things like, how are things going? Are you still feeling good? Are you okay with the strategy? Is this comfortable for you? Is there anything that's keeping you up at night? Like, give them that. Don't just say, tell me, but then give them the avenue and open the door. I don't just mean tell me if it feels good. I mean, I want to know. Legit. I want to know what's happening. Is this good? Is this not good? What do we need to do to make it better? Um, all of these are compassion, right? These are human characteristics. These aren't about an advocate and a client or a patient. These are about how do I genuinely show up every day with compassion, right? Okay, so give them ways to give you regular check-ins, follow-ups, all of the things, right? those kinds of things. The second thing that you can do to leverage compassion in your active relationship with active clients, and we've talked about this, I think we talked about it in the upselling how to keep it classy session. So if you missed that one, go back and check it out. The second thing is about anticipating and addressing their needs proactively. So when we do the active listening thing and we show up in the moment and we're really listening, so when I close my eyes and I hear my clients, it allows me to envision what's happening with them and apply my experience. And that means that lots of times in conversations, I can see things coming that they can't see, right? Yeah, look, I see heads. Aha, you all know what I'm talking about. Yes. Okay, so that is a skill and it is a value that you bring. Okay. And when you do that, guess what you're displaying for them? Compassion, right? You say things to them like, oh my gosh, I so hear what you're saying. Based on what you're telling me, I'm wondering if maybe we need to consider, and then fill in the blank, whatever your suggestion is, right? And a lot of times, these suggestions, ups, there are additional services that you can charge more for, right? Like this is so it's a sales process, right? I never encourage, don't do more and not get paid for what you're doing. Like sometimes it is incorporated in your service contract. Maybe it is part of what you're doing, but if it's not, don't be afraid to suggest that and say, I have one of these when somebody changes jobs and they get new insurance. It's a quick upsell for me. I'm like, oh, have you looked at your insurance options through your new employer? Do you know what they are? Do you feel comfortable with the choice that you're going to make when you hire on with your new employer? Because if not, I have an insurance consultation that I can do it. It's a flat fee, one time, you pay this amount of money, I'll do it, and we'll get you set up. And they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't even thought about that. That's a great idea. Okay. So as you're listening, be thinking about how can I bring more value to this client than I'm already bringing? And by being proactive and thinking of things that they haven't thought of yet, it's a gold mine. And they love you. Like, come on, you guys, be the hero, right? Like, oh my gosh, I haven't even thought of that. Thank you so much. Who doesn't want to be a hero? Go be the hero. All right. And then, of course, the third thing that you can do for active clients, and this is something that only you will be able to gauge how and what it looks like in your practice, because literally I'm calling it go the extra mile. I don't know what that looks like for you, right? But if you have a client that has been with you for a while and you're working with them and you have the opportunity to surprise them, I'm going to give you an example. Two examples actually. So I have a client who recently got a new insurance coverage and went to the pharmacy and wasn't able to pick up their medications because the pharmacy couldn't verify the insurance and they were going to have to pay privately and it was going to be too much money. Okay. And this happened late in the afternoon on a Friday. Of course, right? When does all of this stuff happen, right? Late in the afternoon on Friday. Now, I don't generally work after hours. My practice is in a place where, there's very rarely an emergency, but this was kind of an emergency. This was an established client of mine. I had just helped them get their coverage and confirmed everything. They didn't have their card in place yet. And he went to the pharmacy and couldn't get his medication. He was going to run out over the weekend. So guess what? I worked late. Right? I worked late. I made sure, I think by the time we got it all figured out, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And I said, hey, you're all set. You can go pick up your medications within the next hour. If you run into any trouble, here's a number where you can text me. And then I got a text a few hours later, thanks so much, everything went well, right? And again, they didn't expect me to do that. They didn't expect me to, follow up on, in fact, I ended up following up with them on Saturday. They didn't expect that, but I did it, right? I don't do it every day, but I do it when it's necessary. Then I had another client who, again, they were changing employers and they had me do an insurance consultation on their new options. And we were getting down to the wire on he had to enroll by a certain date, and his work schedule was crazy and things were nuts. And finally, he emailed me back and he was like, hey, I know it's kind of crazy, but can we do a call tonight at 6? Usually my answer is no. In fact, usually if you send me an email after 5 o'clock, I'm not even answering it until the next day. I just don't generally. But this was an established client. I have been working with him for over a year, and he was in a bind. So I did it, and he was grateful. Right? So whatever that looks like for you. And don't be afraid to tell people that you're doing it. Like a lot of times I will even start it by, well, I don't normally work on Saturdays, but I'm going to do this for you. Right? I want them to know I am making an exception for you. We're going to get into this in a second, but I'm making an exception for you because you're that important to me. Remember what we talked about early adopters? They want to feel elite. They want to feel special. They want to feel, right? Let them like create that for them. Hey, I don't normally work on Saturdays, but for you, I'm going to do this because you're such a great client, right? Now, I do that for clients. This kind of goes back. I do that for clients who don't expect me to do it. Okay. Clients who are good to work with, clients who respect me, my time, clients who I have a good working relationship with, right? I go out of my way for them sometimes. That's what I'm talking about when I say go the extra mile. So I don't know what that looks like in your practice, but you do, right? You know what that looks like. Make sure that you're doing that for clients that you want more of and you want them to always come back to you, right? All right. So that's potential clients and current clients. How can we leverage compassion for previous clients? What does that look like? Remember, the sales never completes. If we're looking for lifetime clients, we want to make sure that we're maintaining compassion and nurturing those relationships all of the time. So here's 3 things that you can do to demonstrate your compassion for previous clients. 1, follow up and provide continuous support. Put your previous clients on a regular follow-up routine, either once a quarter, once a month, once every 6 months. Look, I have a whole, we talked about a client journey. We're going to be getting into that more later, but a client journey. So when I close a client, they immediately go on monthly touch points. Okay. And then I do that for a couple of months. And then I ask them, hey, do you want to subscribe to my email distribution list where I send out monthly emails about X, Y, and Z? And if they say yes, then I put them on that. Now they're regularly getting communication from me, right? If they say no, then they go on a quarterly follow-up. So every 3 months, I'll reach out and say, hey, how's things going? What's happening with you? Following up with them. And then after a couple of quarters of that, then I'll ask them again if they want to add to the email list. So have some sort of structure, right? Don't forget about them. Don't forget about them, right? Even if you're just reaching out to say, hey, sometimes it's a personal thing. I had a client, in fact, I just reached out to her a few weeks ago. She was going through some stuff with her mom, and it had nothing to do with the services that I did or anything. But I reached out because I was wondering about her and her mom. Legit. I was sitting here doing something, and I was like, oh, I wonder what's happening with Ashley's mom. I should reach out. I'm not asking you guys to make up things. Like legitimately be who you are. If you care about them as people, then make sure that you're triggering your mind to make sure you're following up with them and making sure they're okay as people, right? All right. The second thing you can do is you can offer exclusive offers to them or some sort of loyalty programs or a referral thing. You know, if they refer somebody to you, you can do this whatever you want. I'm going to tell you what mine looks like because none of those feel good to me. Like loyalty programs and none of that sound like that just doesn't work for me. But I'm going to tell you what I do. I grandfather everybody in at the price they pay today. So when they sign on to my services, they are immediately grandfathered at that price point. They will never, ever, ever see a rate increase. Never. It's just against the way I will raise my rates. I have raised my rates. In fact, I raised my rates in January, and all of my invoices that went out in January to existing clients, and this is where, remember I said, I don't normally work on Saturdays, but for you, I'm going to do this, right? This is another example of that. So my rates went up in January. Those invoices went out. And if a client had been on service, then their invoice went out at the new rate. Okay. And I did a line discount. And then in the notes with their invoice, I said, hey, Happy New Year. You'll notice that my rates went up. No worries. Take a look. I made sure to discount your rate so it did not go up. That's me saying, I don't work on Saturdays, but for you, I'm going to do it. Right? So that feels more authentic to me. And that's how I express my gratitude. So I have clients that, you know, they'll close out and then they'll say, oh, I have one client. Oh my gosh, I think he's come back like 5 or 6 times. He comes back all the time, like random. All of a sudden I'll get an email from him. And I've been working with him for several years. And he still pays, like, I think he signed on in 2021. He still pays the 2021 rate. But his invoice shows the higher rate with the discount. So he knows, right? Because what good is it if I don't tell him? Then he never knows I'm doing something special for him. He needs to know that, right? He needs to know, look, you get a break because you started working with me in 2021. And I am so grateful that you did that in 2021, that you're going to have 2021 rates for as long as you use my services. No, if you're a new client, you don't get that. Right? If you're a new client, you get the new rates. That's how that works, right? So, and remember, these people that are signed, that have signed, and I'm grandfathering at that rate, they're telling their friends about. And their friends aren't going to get the grandfathered rate, but I need the new rate to be on their invoice, because when they do send somebody to me, they know what the rate is and they're telling their friend, right? So there's no surprises there. All right, so do something for them. You know, do something exclusive, do something nice. I don't know what it is. Again, find something that works for you. What resonates with you? What do you want your clients to have that's special? And then, of course, the third thing, no surprises here, make sure you're seeking feedback and you're actively listening to what they tell you. Make sure you get some sort of client survey, something that's going on.